Now, they're just starts, okay? But you get the vibe. Can I make a suggestion? What do you go like, never gonna run if you don't walk, never gonna talk, but don't run. Don't look down. I could tell within 2 minutes of meeting you, you're not just some boy band guy. And you are too good for that wedding band.
Hey there, this is another Weekend Warrior Show video review. I'm going to try to do a few more of these in the next couple of weeks, a mix of written and video reviews. I just came back from seeing John Carney's new movie, Ballad, which I believe premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in January, and it's being released on May 29th, limited, and wide on June 5th by Lionsgate. I've actually been a big John Carney fan for many, many years, going back to when I first saw Once at Sundance. I saw it as one of the first movies I saw there, and actually was one of my first Sundances also. I remember there being a slot at like 9 a.m. on Friday on the first day, and I said, "Oh, I have nothing else to do. I'll go see this movie once." I knew nothing about it. I just knew the publicist, who was a very nice woman named Susan Dorgett. But yeah, so I went to go see Once, loved it, and then I ended up interviewing John at that Sundance. I actually had to kind of follow him around because Once was such a hot commodity there. He was having so many meetings with distributors who wanted to release it, and I did get to sit down with him, talk to him. I ended up doing a phoner with Glenn Hansard, who stars in the movie. And I've been a fan ever since. I mean, I've just generally like all his movies. I saw Sing Street at Sundance. I love that movie almost as much as Once. His last movie was Flora and Son in 2023. I actually interviewed him for that as well. I actually interviewed him a bunch of times. I interviewed him for a movie called Zonad, which no one knows. It's kind of been a movie that played Tribeca many years ago, and I'm not sure if anyone knows the movie exists, but I did talk to him for it. But most of his movies involve music or the music business or forming a band, writing songs. All these things are really kind of close to my heart. I had some people know I've actually was involved in the music business before I became a film critic, and I've been back doing music again in recent years. So it's always nice to see one of John's movies. He actually wrote this movie with an actor named Peter McDonald, who I'll talk about more later. As you can see from the background, Power Ballad stars Paul Rudd on the left, Nick Jonas on the right. Paul Rudd plays Rick, who is a failed rock and roll musician who is living in Ireland with his wife and daughter, both Irish, and he's playing in a wedding band called The Bride and Grooves. Yeah, pretty corny. And we first meet him when he's playing with this band. I can't remember what song he was playing, but it's basically a typical wedding band. They're just playing whatever the people ask for. It's a completely Irish band, and he's only American. He's the singer, plays some guitar. At one of these weddings, a pretty fancy wedding at a castle, he ends up meeting Danny Wilson, played by Nick Jonas, who was part of a pretty big boy band maybe a decade earlier, and now he is trying to have a solo career, and he's trying to like get a hit. He's trying to get back and playing big venues like MSG again. But he happens to be at this wedding because these friends of his are getting married, and when the wedding band is playing, they ask him to go on stage and do a song. So he goes up there and does Stevie Wonder's "I Wish," singing with Rick, and the two of them kind of connect and bond, and they meet up after the wedding's over, and the two of them just go hang out and start like playing music and singing songs together. Rick plays him some of his songs. Rick does have original songs. We learned very early on. It's funny, in this wedding band, they're playing all these big songs everyone knows, and then he does one of his own songs, and it basically clears the room. But so he's definitely a failed musician, failed rock and roller. But meeting Danny Wilson, he kind of starts getting to writing again and being to music again. And the two of them spend the night kind of drinking and smoking pot and writing. And then they go their separate ways. Danny goes back to the United States. Rick goes back to his family and to his wedding band. Maybe a few months later, he hears a song on. He's actually at a mall, and he hears a song playing over the system there, and he recognizes it's like, oh, this is the song that I wrote that I played for Danny when we were hanging out together. And so of course he's like, well, what's up with that? Why is my songs my songs getting played? I never heard anything about it. I don't know if I got any credit. Obviously didn't get any money. So he's kind of curious about that, and he kind of reaches out to find out what's up with that. That's the general gist of the movie. It's basically about these two guys who meet one night after the wedding, do some writing together. Danny goes back, and he has a big hit with this song called "I Couldn't Write This Song (parentheses) Without You." A big ballad. It's kind of a love song. Uh, it's not the typical thing, but it's I will get into the song a little bit later. But basically, the song, Danny has a huge hit with it. He's playing big venues with it. It's like everyone knows it. But Rick is going a little crazy because he's like, Well, how come I didn't get any credit for this? So he's reaches out to Danny's manager, Mac, played by Jack Weiner, who was a John Carney regular, actually one of his only regulars. He appeared in Sing Street and in Flora and Son. But Rick is trying to just go back to his life with his family and his band, but he's doing these weddings and they're asking him to play this song now that Danny has had a huge hit with, and he just doesn't want to do it. And he gets a fight with his band. It's a comedy. It's definitely very funny. It's a little sentimental. We'll get into a little bit of that a little later. The movie, it's great when Paul Rudd and Nick Jonas are together. So when they're together on stage, when they're together writing, great. They kind of go their separate ways, and that's why the second act kind of falters a little bit. Danny is back in LA. He has a girlfriend played by Havana Rose Liu, who I really like. She's in a movie called Tuna coming out, which I love. I think Havana Rose Liu is just an amazing actress. She's a very small role in this, basically a couple scenes, but she's a very expressive face. So she brings a lot to their scenes together for sure. Rick goes back to his family. Rachel, played by Marcella Plunkett, and his daughter, Aja, played by Beth Fallon. Neither actor I was really familiar with at all. But we have to talk about Peter McDonald, who is the co-writer on this movie. He also plays Rick's guitarist, Sandy, his closest friend. The two are inseparable, for better or worse. But yeah, but Rick is going a little crazy, knowing the songs out there, not being able to get Mac or Danny on the phone to find out what's up with that. Obviously, I mean, he'd probably like to get some money, but at this point, he just wants to get credit for it because this song is such a huge hit, and he wrote the song. It's a song from his past. He can't find any proof that he wrote the song. That's the other key, is that like, Rick didn't have a demo or anything else like that to say, oh, look, I wrote the song, blah, blah, blah. So he doesn't have much proof. Jack Reynor is kind of an asshole towards him. I think Jack Reynor is kind of like becoming that kind of asshole in a lot of movies. He wasn't an asshole in Sing Street. He was a great Big Brother role, but he's kind of becoming an asshole. He's kind of becoming the asshole Chris Pratt in some ways. But he has a very small role. He appears a bunch of times. You kind of expect it because he's done so much with John Carney at this point. It's really about Rick and Danny, and they're going their own separate ways, doing the same things. And then Rick eventually goes to L.A. with Sandy to confront Danny. And I won't go too far into details about that. The song itself, I couldn't write the song without you. I thought it was kind of corny, actually. I didn't think it was like this big, huge, amazing, oh my God, instant hit. And I felt like some of the movie was a little silly because, I work in the music business, and I know this is not exactly how it works. I mean, it's hard to have a hit like that right off the, I mean, obviously, Danny Wilson has a past with his boy band, and he has a manager, and he's a record label, but this song, is this really the song that's, oh my God, this is better than all these other songs that he has? I think he has some good songs too. The movie is very funny at times, especially when it's in Ireland with the band. My friend Thelma Adams was sitting behind me, and her laugh is just so delightful that she really adds a lot to any comedy. I'd love to have her sitting behind me at every comedy because she's so having a laugh at things. Just you kind of laugh as well, even if you don't necessarily find things as funny as she does. Yeah, it is funny, and it does deal with his family stuff. Paul Rudd, I was actually surprised because he is singing, I think. I'm actually going to interview John Carney next week. I'm going to ask him if Paul Rudd is actually singing. Because I never really thought of Paul Rudd as like a musical guy. I mean, he had that scene in I Love You, Man, where him and Jason Segel were doing Rush stuff. But I don't know. I didn't really think of him as a musician. I never really talked about music. I don't know. I'm not really sure about that. Again, I'll ask John Carney about that next week. I think the movie's second act has problems. And it has problems when Rick goes to LA and confronts Danny because it gets kind of very silly. And there's a lot of things that are happening that just a little too coincidental, I think. But I don't know. Having some knowledge in the music business, I was a little dubious of some of the things that happened. I know John obviously has experience in the music business. I mean, he had a Oscar-winning song in one of his movies. I don't know if he had won a Tony himself, but he was involved with the Once musical, which won Tonys. So I think he knows the music business. I trust him. I don't know about Peter McDonald. I know he's an actor. Sandy is a really funny character. I think he brings some of the best humor to the movie, which is very necessary. And he's good. I mean, I think the movie is good. I think I was losing it a little bit in the middle section, but the ending, oh my God, ending is so amazing. Seriously, if you're not bawling by the end of this movie, then I don't know. You probably don't have a soul. You're not human. And actually, by the end of the movie, you've heard this song so many times. It's like, oh yeah, I like the song now. So I think it's one of those songs that, like, if you saw Seinfeld, like the stanza, it's like that. It's like that kind of thing where it's basically you hear the song so much that by the end, it's like, oh yeah, I do like it. But it is a fun movie. I like Paul Rudd in this role. I've kind of fallen out with Paul Rudd a little bit. I'm not as big a fan as I was maybe like 10 years ago or a little less. Nick Jonas, I generally like. I don't see him that much, but I think when he's in movies, he takes it seriously. He's not just another pop star turned actor. I mean, he's a pretty decent actor, actually. And of course, seeing Havana Rose Lou, I wish she had a bigger role. She has a great role in Tuner. These movies are coming out like literally back to back. I think this movie is going to be limited on the 29th and Tuner's wide on the 29th. So Havana Rose Lou fans, I don't know what we call ourselves, but I am definitely a big one. But anyway, so John Carney's movie, it's funny. I was kind of going with like a 7.5 for a long time. But by the end, I was in tears. I have to give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's a good movie. I think it's a fun movie. I think people will enjoy it. I think Nick Jonas fans will enjoy it. I think Paul Rudd fans will enjoy it. I think other Havana Rose Lou will enjoy her 2 scenes. I mean, I wish she was in it more. But yeah, it's another hit for John Carney in my book. I mean, he's made a lot of good movies. There's only one of the movies that I was kind of not that into, and it was more because of the songwriter he was collaborating with, and I won't get into that too much. But I kind of relate to a lot of this stuff. I mean, I work with a musician now, and he writes his own songs, but I mean, I don't know. Every once in a while, he takes some credit for stuff that he doesn't really do. And, I've been kind of working with him a long time, and I can understand that. I can understand when someone takes credit for something and doesn't give you enough credit for something. So I definitely related to that. It was actually similar to Stanley Tucci's Nigel in Devil Wears Prada and Devil Wears Prada 2. It's kind of like you do a lot of work with someone, you work with someone a long time, and you don't get the appreciation you think you deserve. And that's definitely how Rick feels. I definitely relate to that. Again, another great music movie from John Carney. I can't wait to talk to him next week. I definitely want to find out more about his relationship with Peter McDonald. This is the first movie he wrote with him. And yeah, it opens limited on May 29th. It opens wide on June 6th. So 8 out of 10, go see it.
How to write a song without.
Been toying with this one for years.
Yeah, I like that.
'Cause every song I ever wrote in my life. This song changed my life.
It's my song.
I wrote it. Do you think it is easy to turn a song into a hit?
So good.
Yeah.